It's Gnome of the Month, Gnome of the Month,
Gnome of the Month!
Hello my beautiful Gnomies, and welcome back to my channel. This is Nova Gnome Creations, and I'm Nova, and I'm so happy to see you guys today. I hope that you are doing wonderful, and I hope that you and your loved ones are taking care of the best that you can. I want to say a massive thank you for joining us today and clicking on this video. This is our Gnome of the Month video, so you are in for a big old treat. If this is your first time here, welcome to my channel. I hope that you find this to be the coziest, comfiest corner of YouTube that you've ever been in. I hope that you find it to be a warm and welcoming and safe place that you feel like you can just relax. You can take a deep breath, and you can just exist. And if it is not your first time here, thank you so much for coming back. I love you. I love this community. If you're new here, you're gonna find real quick that we have the best community. The best people. They are the kindest, the most creative, the most talented. Like, seriously, just stick around for a hot minute and you are gonna be like blown away. As part of Gnome of the Month, you'll actually get a little taste of the community also, because Gnome of the Month is where I come on here and I show you guys my Gnome of the Month. Maybe I make more than one gnome that month, but I have one gnome that is like my Gnome of the Month. And I come on here the first Saturday and I tell you guys what my thoughts are, any plans I have, if I'm going to follow a tutorial or a pattern, if I'm going to create my own tutorial or my own pattern, if I'm just going to totally wing it. I've done it all. I've done all of those things, and it's fun because it's never the same. And then I come on here the last Saturday and I show you guys the gnome that I talked about and how it came out, but I also show you guys your gnomes. So any gnomes that you guys make over the course of the month, you are welcome to send in. My email is in the description box below this video and all of my videos. It is novagnomecreations@gmail.com. You just send over your email, you put Gnome of the Month as the subject line, and somewhere in your email, you can put anything you want in there, but somewhere in your email, let me know what name you would like me to credit you with. And attach your pictures of your gnome or gnomes. There is no limit, so you can send in as many gnomes as you want to, whatever gnomes that you have made. So it does not have to be crochet. It can be knit, it could be painted, it could be sculpted, it could be digital art, it could be, loom knit, diamond painted, watercolors. It could literally be anything. You could glue a bunch of stuff onto a canvas in the shape of a gnome. Literally anything creative that you do, but it's a gnome, you are welcome to send in. So this is not exclusive to crocheters, and it's not exclusive to you. If you are somebody that likes to dabble in other things, other types of crafty stuff, you're more than welcome here. And I hope that you'll send in your gnomes. And I highly encourage you to challenge yourself if you like gnomes, but you haven't made one before. I would love to challenge you to join in on next month's Gnome of the Month and make your first gnome. We've had a few people who have made their very first gnomes for Gnome of the Month, and it is so exciting to get to see all the different things that people come up with, what they choose, the excitement that they have that they created their very own gnome. Even if it's just a one and done kind of thing, you've never made one, but you love gnomes, maybe you'll give it a shot. You can make one gnome, but then you get to say you made a gnome. You get to have that gnome on your shelf and be like, I made that. Yeah. So anyways, guys, this is the last Saturday of the month, so this is the reveal video. So I'm going to show you guys my gnome, and if you were not here for my reveal or my idea video, whatever you want to call it, I talked about wanting to create a tree gnome. I didn't really have a big direction with it. I was thinking, I wanted the arms to be branches And apart from that, that was kind of it. The body was going to be the trunk. And the arms were going to be branches. That was basically the only like inspo that I had, the only thing I knew for sure I wanted to do. Which having arms does limit or direct the flow of what I'm doing a little bit. But other than that, it was really an open ball game. I went one way with it, and I have an idea for another way to go with it. So at some point I might make a second tree gnome. But are you guys ready to see how this tree gnome came out? Well, I took some videos and clips and whatnot along the way because I have a little surprise for you guys. I actually used my super beginner friendly gnome tutorial that a lot of you guys really enjoy. And I used that as the foundation for this gnome so that I could make modifications that you guys could follow if you wanted to turn your super beginner friendly gnomes into tree gnomes. So I hope that you guys are excited about that. I really, once I got that idea in my head, I was like, yes, that's what I'm doing. I want to provide some modification options for that super beginner friendly gnome. A lot of you guys really, really like the super beginner friendly gnome tutorial. And that was like your first gnome or your first amigurumi at all. So now you're going to have an option to customize it into a tree. So I'm going to go ahead and commence that and show you guys the little bit of modifications. It's actually very simple modifications. And then I will come back and show you what it came about like. So for the month of August, I decided to do a tree gnome. I'm going to do the body as a tree trunk and the arms as branches, and I'm going to turn the hat into the top of a tree. So I am going to be making the body, and I'm going to start there. I'm going to use this yarn, so I was going to show it to you real quick. It is the Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek DK Low Pill Fiber. This one was on clearance when I bought it, but that doesn't mean that they don't make this yarn anymore. I'm not sure. That would just be something that you would have to look into. But this colorway may be discontinued, or they may have renamed it and it be existing under a different name. But Yarn Bee is Hobby Lobby's brand, or one of their brands. So this is a 100% low pill acrylic, and it is a 3-weight, a lightweight yarn. I'm going to use this for the trunk because I think it kind of gives a tree bark effect and is better, well, not better, but a little bit more intriguing than just using a solid brown. So I was looking through my yarn stash trying to find something that I thought would make an intriguing kind of bark effect, and I was like, okay, you know what, we'll try this. So normally I use a worsted weight yarn for crocheting amigurumi, well, most of the time, but I'm going to be using a 3 this time. Now, what I decided to do was actually make this as a mod for my super beginner friendly gnome tutorial. So if you guys have seen, I have a series of videos. It's 3 videos. It is a crochet-along for a super beginner friendly gnome tutorial. And I made that to help anyone who wanted to make a gnome who had, just assuming they had never even made amigurumi before. So very beginner friendly. And when I did that tutorial in the video, I had mentioned that I was gonna potentially do mods in the future so that if anyone wanted to use that same base pattern but do different things with it, you know, they could. So I thought that this would be a fun one to make into a mod. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the body the same way. And when I get to round 8, where you spiral to height, which just means that you're just going to continue to do single crochet rounds all the way around. And don't worry if that doesn't make sense to you. I explained that in the tutorial if you end up wanting to make one yourself. When you get to that round where you spiral to height before you continue on, I'm just going to make it taller so that it looks more like a tree trunk. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'm going to be using this yarn. When I come back, I will let you know what size hook I ended up using, and we can move on from there. Okay, so I spent way longer than I care to admit balling up this yarn. I had a horrible time starting to unravel it. Once I got a decent way in, it was a lot easier because it just was going around and around. But starting it was like tangled up. It was not fun to do. But what I decided to do, since I was having to ball it all up anyways, is I am going to double strand it together so that it is more like a 4-weight, since I am making this as a mod to my beginner-friendly gnome pattern. I thought it would be best to not mess with the hook sizes and stuff like that too much. So I'll probably either use a 3.5 or a 4, which is what I always use for worsted weight yarns. Alright, so I am working on getting up to the height that I want, and this is what it's looking like so far. I wanted to put something flat in the bottom to keep the bottom nice and flat and help it to stand better when I'm done with it. So what I'm gonna do is I actually found this pill bottle. It's one of the really big ones, and the lid is pretty much the perfect size. So let me get that open to go down into the bottom of here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hot glue that down, and then I can put like some river rocks or something to weight it. That way when it's standing, it'll have more weight on the bottom, and that'll help it to stay upright. So if you would like to do this, you can find something laying around the house. I like to try to look for like lids or pieces of plastic or things like that that I'm like recycling. You know, giving them a second purpose, but also cardboard works really well. So like if you have an Amazon box or something, you can do that. That's something that is really easy to do because you can just cut it to shape. So I'm just gonna throw some glue on here and try to act quickly because it will dry really quickly on the plastic. And then I'm just going to put it in here and push it down. And just kind of hold it down for a second using your fingers to apply some pressure, and it'll bond with the yarn. So hot glue kind of melts the fibers when you're using like acrylic sorts of yarn, which actually helps it to attach even better. So make sure when you're using hot glue that you know where you want to put something before you put it on there, because once you've got it stuck on there and those fibers have kind of bonded with the glue, it's going to be really difficult to get it off. Just want to make sure that it's let it dry a little bit before I stop pushing on it, just so that it gets like nice and adhered. You know, I don't want my glue to dry not like attached, because then I got to re-glue it, and it might have attached in some spots but not others, and you know, that's just a whole annoyance. But there we go. I've got that attached to the bottom, and then now I'm going to pull up on my yarn so that I can make sure the stitch doesn't fall out, and I'm going to go get some river rocks or something and put some weight in here. And I'll probably wait to do that until I get a little higher up, but what I'll do is I'll just put some something to weight it, and then I'll put my polyfill right over top of it, so it'll make it nice and heavy at the bottom. Okay guys, so here is where I'm currently sitting at. This is just sitting on top of here, but I've got the body and I've got the nose done, and I've got potentially the hat done. So what I did was, in case you're interested in doing this hat this way as well, I basically did it the same way that I did the beginner-friendly gnome hat. But what I did was how every other round of that hat you do a round of just straight up single crochet. So like for example, I think it starts around row 7. You do like single crochet and an increase, and you'll do that 3 times, like repeating, and then you single crochet around for the next round, and then the next round you do single crochet increase 5 times, and then the next round is single crochet around. So on those rounds where you just single crochet around, which is every other time, you do back loop onlys. So that is what I did differently. You'll notice that this has a ridge to it. And the reason it has a ridge to it is because these are back loop only stitches. And I did that so that I could crochet in these front loop onlys, which is what is making this ridge. These are front loops. I did that so I could crochet into those after I finished the hat. So if you're interested in making this hat, you just follow the beginner-friendly gnome tutorial and make the hat exactly the same way, except for doing back loop only single crochets. So after that, you can either finish the edge of your hat just per the usual tutorial, or you can actually do the same thing for the last round of that hat that you do in all of these front loop only stitches, which is going to be, you're going to chain 3, and you're going to do a double crochet, and then you're going to do a chain 2 picot at the top of the double crochet. So the chain 3 is just to get you to height. You're still going to want to double crochet into that same stitch. And the chain 2 picot, I will show you how to do here in just a second in case you don't know how to do that. But you do that all the way around, just doing a double crochet with a chain 2 picot on top of it. And then in the next stitch, a double crochet with a chain 2 picot on top of it. Okay, so here is kind of a close-up of what it looks like, and you'll notice that there are those front loop onlys that are unworked. So what you're going to do is you're going to yarn over because you're doing a double crochet, and then you're going to go down into the next front loop only that is unworked, which is this little ridge right here. Okay, then you're going to finish your double crochet just like normal. And the way that you do the chain 2 picot up here at the top is you just chain 2. And then you're going to go through the top of that double crochet stitch. Now, you go through basically the top and the front piece right here. So let me show you that again. You've got your chain 2. You're going to go through the top loop right here and then this front of the double crochet loop right here, and you're just going to slip stitch. And that is how you do a double crochet with a chain 2 picot at the top of it. So let's do one more. Okay, you're going to yarn over per usual for a double crochet. You're going to go through just that front loop because that's all you can go through. That's what you left to go through. You're going to yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That's just a double crochet. Then you're going to chain 2. And I want to show you in case this helps. This right here is the top of your double crochet stitch that you normally would work under. You see the 2 loops, but you're not going to work under both of those. You're going to work only under this front loop that's closest to you of the top, and then the front, this little piece right here. Okay? And you're just going to make a slip stitch. So you're going to go through that one and through that one. And slip stitch. Oops. Or totally mess it up because you're trying to film yourself. Go through both of those and do a slip stitch. Okay, so that is how you do that in case you are interested. So what I'm thinking is that this would be good for doing like a Christmas tree top, you know, like a pine tree. This kind of gives that pine tree vibe. But I'm not really going for a Christmas tree right now. So I'm thinking about stopping doing these because I could go all the way up and it would create like a Christmas tree kind of look. And I'm thinking of doing something kind of whimsical. So ironically, this is actually being done with some things I got last year at Christmas time, which was I had gotten this like set of Christmas stuff, and it had little pieces that you could do like crafts with. It had like noses and hats and arms, stuff for snowmen, and reindeer antlers and stuff in there. And I was like, those would actually make the branches that you use for the snowmen would actually make good branches for the arms of this gnome. So what I'm thinking is to do something kind of like this, but I'm also considering, let's see if I can angle this a little bit better. I'll kind of hold it. I'm also considering doing these antlers and going for kind of like a like, I don't know, like a very fantasy kind of thing, like a forest sprite or something kind of vibe. You know, think like Lord of the Rings or the Chronicles of Narnia or something that would that would just be like very whimsical, you know, and it could be this like forest creature, you know, it's this tree creature, like the tree beards in Lord of the Rings or something, because it is a tree gnome. And I'm like, you're definitely getting the tree vibe. Trying to like make sure this is completely in frame for you guys. You're definitely getting the tree vibe. And then I really like it with the antlers. So I'm like, I want to make sure it's not too Christmassy, but I really don't think it is. I think it's giving, you know, forest creature vibes. So I think I'm going to go with this way as like, adornments. But I think I've given you guys a pretty good, little mod option for making it into a tree. You can either do the arms that are part of the beginner friendly gnome pattern tutorial thingy that I have on YouTube. You could do them in the same color as the body if you wanted them to look more like tree branchy, or you know, you could do no arms. You could do a lot of different things. So this kind of gives you an option to make it into a Christmas tree gnome, or to make it into a tree gnome. And you can either do what I'm doing and kind of stop this early, or you could continue this all the way up and it would give you even more like Christmas tree kind of vibes. And you could put like little like pom-poms and, you know, different things that you have to like adorn it like a Christmas tree. So I hope I've given you guys some good options to think over and like some good modification ideas. I am going to finish off the rest of my gnome, and then I will come back and show you guys my finished gnome of the month for August. All right, I hope that you enjoyed. I hope that you got something out of that. Even if you're not going to modify the super beginner friendly gnome tutorial or Crochet-Along or whatever you want to call it that I did, you could use this knowledge to modify any gnome into a tree gnome. So if you have a favorite base pattern that you like to use, you could totally modify it with this. It's super simple. Like I said, it's little modifications, not a big deal. But what I loved about the idea of making modifications for that super beginner friendly gnome tutorial is that you could learn a base skill, a base knowledge of how to make that gnome, and then with just slight alterations, you could create totally different gnomes. So I think that that's really good for people who are beginners, who don't have a lot of experience in amigurumi, and it's always just nice to like feel like you kind of know what you're doing and then branch out a little bit and build off of it. So it starts out with a really basic pattern. I explain it like you've never done amigurumi before and walk you through every step, but now you can have a little bit of modification ideas if you would like to turn it into a tree. So let me know if you guys liked that, if that's something you would like to see more of over time. My idea originally had been to continue to create modification ideas for it, where I just tell you little things that you can alter about it to turn it into a different type of a gnome, maybe different hats or different like flowers and things like that you could put on the hat, things like that. So let me know if that's something you guys are interested in. And if it's not, that's totally fine. You know, that's okay. I don't want to waste, you know, my time working on modifications for it if nobody's going to actually care about them. So it won't hurt my feelings this time if nobody's interested in those. But I forgot to mute my computer. I'm sorry, guys. But if you are interested in those, just make sure you specifically let me know in the comments. That way I know if I'm on the right path, if you guys are interested. All right, guys, are you ready to see the finished gnome? Da 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 da! So I went really like whimsical kind of vibes, which I love whimsical stuff, like, of course. I feel like that was a kind of a no-brainer for me. Let me focus it for you guys. So I've got a little squirrel having an acorn on one of the branches, one of the arm branches. I've got acorns sticking out of the foliage of the tree. And then I gave it little antlers, and they look like they're made of bark, like they're made of like branches, like the arms are. So I thought that was really cool. It gives it kind of like a forest creature kind of vibes, in my opinion. That's what I kind of get out of it. Like I said, like this is a forest gnome, like an enchanted woodland gnome. I think that's what I'll call it, an enchanted woodland gnome. It's got little mushrooms growing on it. It's got little ladybugs. It's got dried flowers. These are actually real flowers that are on here that are dried. And it's got a little tiny hedgehog. So, whoop, there we go. Focus for you guys and give you a little close up. So it's got some details on it that make it like all the more magical, I think. Make it kind of that enchanted woodland creature, enchanted woodland gnome. And I am so happy with it. I am really, really happy with how it came out. I think it's so, so cute. And you can make this and customize it any way you want. Like I said in the clips, if you are interested in customizing that beginner-friendly gnome that I made a crochet-along for, you could go Christmas tree. You could go, you know, something more like this. You could really do anything. Like, just use your creativity and the sky's the limit. I hope that I gave you guys good enough explanations of how to, like, modify things. I literally just elongated the body by adding more rounds at the part where you just do a bunch of rounds to give it height. And like I said, do every other round back loop only. And then you can just crochet this frilly stuff in and it gives that tree effect. So, super, 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 super stoked. I love how it came out. I hope that you guys liked how it came out too. I am going to go dig into my email and look for any gnomes of the month that you guys have sent in. Don't forget, if you would like to participate in next month's gnome of the month, you can send in your email at any time. So you can literally pause this video right now and go send in your email, or, you know, if you need to go take pictures of it later tonight, you can send in your email. If you have your gnome finished, but you forgot to send them in, that is totally fine. You can send them in for next month's. And then of course, any gnomes that you guys make over the course of September, don't forget to send them in for gnome of the month. I will be back next weekend to let you guys know what I am planning on doing for my gnome of the month for September, and I have an idea. I'm actually considering doing a suggestion that I saw in the comments. So if you have made a suggestion about gnomes in the comments recently, you might be like, is that me? Is that my idea? We'll have to wait and see. I hope everybody is doing awesome today, and I will see you guys again real soon. Bye, guys!